Hello, I'm Antonia and this is Noel, and we are from Boxtail Super Theatre Company, and we are back in our studio after our first 2 weeks of touring, which has been a rather epic 2 weeks, I think it's safe to say.
Certainly has.
Obviously we spoke to you, as it were, from Cheltenham last week in the Studio Theatre, where we were still hanging out because we were about to start filming Gulliver, which went really well. It was very exciting. So I don't think we've explained what that is, have we?
We haven't mentioned it at all, really. I think we made kind of a very fleeting reference last week to the fact that we were going to be doing some filming, but we didn't really explain why or what that project is about.
So we applied for a grant from the Genesis Kickstart Fund for filming Gulliver and doing a proper version of it, as filmed as well as we possibly could, with the idea that it would be an alternative way to view the show, not something that you would say, oh, well, I won't then go and see it live, but just a different way of watching it so that it would become more accessible, potentially could be used as an educational tool, all that sort of thing. And on top of the filmed version of the show, we're also planning some extra special content to go along with that will be interactive. So we applied for the grant and we got the grant. So thanks to the Genesis Kickstart Fund, we were able to begin work properly on the project and get the filming done.
So when the lockdown started back in 2020, when everything had been cancelled, I think there were a lot of people a lot of companies who were producing theatre or whatever it might have been, who felt that they needed to get something online or get a production out there and get something up so people could watch shows online. And we resisted that because we didn't feel that we had a good enough version of any of the shows. Although we have got some recordings of shows, it's often where, we've just been able to set up a camera at the back of the auditorium. And while in some cases it's been on better cameras than others, so in some cases, the quality of the footage is better, it doesn't compare as an experience to actually sitting there and watching the show. So we just didn't feel like it was a fair representation. We didn't feel like it was kind of the best way for us to present our work. So
there was one show that we released. We released Little Grim Tales because, as it happened, we'd actually had that professionally filmed.
Yeah.
So we had a lovely guy come and film that for us, and it was a decent enough version of the show that we felt it would be certainly a fun experience, if not quite the same as coming to see it live. At least it would be a good version of that production.
And we did that in a sort of limited way in partnership with the Norwich Puppet Theatre, wasn't it? So you could kind of watch that through their box office. So we wanted to produce kind of the best that we could achieve given the time and the budget and the kind of the restrictions that we had in that sense. So we were very fortunate because of this grant. We were able to work with professional cameramen, and they helped us to arrange to hire the professional kit that we needed, and were able to give us advice on all of that. And we then were able, thanks to the Everyman Theatre, to use the studio space there to shoot the show more than once from multiple angles. So we have got a lot of options in terms of editing the show and putting it together.
I think it's safe to say at this point that if we had the resources of somewhere like the National Theatre or the RSC, we would want to film a live production and do it probably that way, because there is nothing that beats the live element of it. You're not going to get the same thing. But because of the fact that we haven't got that resource, we decided to, rather than to make that a negative, but to kind of lean into it. So go, okay, well, we haven't got that. So in that case, what we're going to do is, rather than that being a disadvantage, we're going to turn it to our advantage, and we're going to make sure that we have multiple, as you say, multiple versions of the show, so actually it will be more filmic probably than if we had just filmed a live performance.
Yeah, and it also meant that, as you were saying before, we can expand on that and put a lot of extra content in there. So because we were trying to turn to advantage the fact that we we're able to record all of the rehearsal footage, we have access to all of the design drawings and to we can speak to the composer. We want to try and produce something in the end that means that you can really explore that product if you want to. I mean, if you want to just watch the show as it is, then obviously that will be an option. But if you want to find out more about this particular song and how it was written, or you want to find out more about how these costumes were designed or how this particular puppet was made, then the option will be there for you to kind of click through and expand on that. In fact, when we were applying for the grant, we called it Gulliver Exploded, because we had this sense of being able to explode the whole thing and look at each individual element and find out a little bit more about it. So that's the idea of the project.
And I think we were pleased with the footage that we got, and while we were at the Everyman, we've only seen little bits of it because we then went off to do more touring, so we actually haven't had a chance to sit down and really look at any of the footage. It's going to take us a while to go through it because we got so much, which is excellent. And we're going to have we'll see what's going to be the right thing to use as well. Some of it we had a little bit of time at the end, so some of it we went a bit more filmic with, and we'll see whether that's appropriate or not when we come to edit it together. But we're confident that we'll certainly have something that's very interesting, and while certainly not a replacement for the live show, it's another way of enjoying it, and hopefully another way that maybe more people will be able to enjoy our work.
Yeah, I think the things that I'm excited about in that sense are those two aspects of it. On the one hand, it will mean that people who can't physically come to see the show are able to access it in some way and access kind of what I hope will be a decent representation of it. And then on the other hand, I think that it will make you excited to come and see the live show.
Or if you have seen it live, it's another opportunity to sort of look into it and then maybe delve a bit deeper into how it was made. So that was that really. That is what we were doing. It was 2 long days, but 2 very fun days, so that's good.
Yeah, we've actually had quite a hard little stint, because it was 2 long days of the filming, and then we were on our way up to Scotland to do 3 shows.
We had lovely shows in Scotland, and then we drove down to Ledbury, and then we've been actually nearer to home today, so that was very nice, not too far to come to get back to the studio. But we'll leave you with a few little bits and bobs that I think we got during the time when we were filming. A couple of photographs. I think you managed to get some sort of behind the scenes footage, some filming of the filming. Is very meta.
Yeah, we've got a few bits and pieces that will give you perhaps some sense of what we're up to.
Just a little taster though, because we don't want to reveal too much, so that when we actually reveal the project, you're going to want to watch it. But that's all for now. If you are enjoying the videos, as always, please do give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, or subscribe to the channel. And as I always like to say, welcome to the new subscribers. It's lovely to have you. And we will be back again, probably talking about more touring, I would think, and a bit more about Wind in the Willows next week.
Cool. Do you want me to put my one over there?
Yours is wider, so yours needs to be on this side.
So what's going to be the lead up into this shot then? Because you've got the Yahoo poking at the jacket.
We're just going to go from when my him enters. So we're just going to go from me walking in and stepping up onto the box, which is, and then that's when I say, Gulliver, you far exceeded manner and cleanliness.
I think you can afford to slide this way and put Noel on that right hand frame.
Are you having the Yahoo in this at all when you take? Oh, you were done.
I don't think so. I think that
Yahoo's been gone.
Yahoo's gone.
Because you have a moment to reset.
Yeah, exactly. And then by the time I've done that, I then sit down for a second, and then there's a beat. And
I think something like that, because Noel's going to disappear that way.